Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to Season 10 of the Attrition Sim Race Campus Oval Series presented by SM Racing. Tonight, we are up here in Hampton, Virginia for the fourth time in series history up here at the Langley Speedway for round number 5 of the season. And I'll tell you what, race fans, tonight is bound to be one heck of a race. Coming in at 0.39 miles or 0.63 kilometers in length. Not only is this the shortest track these drivers will have come to so far this season, but this is also the flattest track that they will have come to this season. There is still a degree or two of banking in the corners, as hard as it is to tell, but regardless, this track is going to be very, very momentum based. You have to put a lot more effort into braking and into steering your cars through these corners than you would on one such as Five Flags like we went to last week, which has substantially more banking than this track here. And just to add on to all of that, we also currently have 11 drivers signed up for tonight's event, which will tie the record that we have set so far this season for most drivers in a single race. So, how about it? Most drivers in a single race so far this season at the shortest track we have been to this season. That said, drivers are making their way on down to the starting grid, so how about we take a look down there and see just how things are going to shake up here this evening. Starting out on the pole of this one, the driver currently second in tonight's championship standings. That is going to be the number 45 of Mr. Travis Suka. Starting his outside in that number 99, dropping bombs, racing entry, that's going to be his teammate out of Chesterfield, Virginia. That's our current championship leader of Tyler McRae. Third place going to go back to the 85 of Mr. Brian Sabelski, rocking that Maconi setup shop livery. And his outside, that's going to be the 93 of Jason Gardner, who took home his first podium of the season last week at the Five Flags Speedway. Following up just behind him, that's the driver out of Canada. That is the 38 of Mr. Brandon Feeney. Back in position number 6, that is the SM Racing driver of Mr. Garrett Streets. Falling out behind him, that's one of the rookie drivers here. That is the 00 of Christopher Bryan. Going off back in position number 8, that's going to be the 78 of Derek Murphy, the Angry Larry entry. Ninth place can go back to a driver that's not just a rookie here in the ASRC Oval Series, but a rookie to ASRC as a whole, making his first ever start in any of the league series. That's going to be the 77 of Brady Schreckengost. 10th place can go back to that 14 of Mr. Nico Morelli, another driver that has been kind of all over the place in the championship standings so far. He is coming in here tonight inside the top 5, though. He is run off P number 10. And finally, rounding out the field here tonight, that's going to be the 74 of Jeremy Morrow, the other half of the SM Racing Products team. He's going to be rolling it off position number 11. So 11 drivers making the call to the starting grid here tonight. All 11 drivers out here on the speedway. 100 laps going to be the distance, same as usual. And the iRacing.com pace car is off. We are getting things rolling here at the Langley Speedway. Travis Sukup off to an early lead in that number 45 machine right off the jump. As I was saying, Langley Speedway, one of the tracks where it is really difficult to turn, really difficult to brake compared to some of the higher bank tracks, and the track like this is one where we tend to really see the low line shine even more than usual compared to some of the other speedways on the schedule. And sure enough, looking throughout the field, it looks like pretty much everyone has already all filtered on down to that bottom line here tonight. Everyone knows they're in for a bit of a long haul here tonight. While it is the shortest track on the speedway, so realistically speaking, these laps are going to click off incredibly quickly. They are in the long haul because tire management is going to be very, very important and very, very difficult. even for the more experienced late model drivers. We have seen drivers reporting even all the way down to roughly within 10% tread remaining, or roughly speaking, durability left on their tires at the end of these races. So we could see fall off up over the course of maybe even 4 or 5 seconds of lap time over the course of this race if drivers don't treat their tires correctly. And currently looking back near the back of the field, this is Jeremy Morrow and Christopher Bryan battling it out for the 9th position. These two drivers duking it out early here tonight. Everyone else is mostly single-filed out here around the speedway, but these drivers are ready to throw the punches even all the way back on lap number 8. Jeremy Morrow is going to clear that 0-0. Christopher Bryan now, that's the rookie driver of Schreckengost going down to the low line. He's going to get around him as well in that 77 iRacing entry. Schreckengost making his first start here in ASRC, and Bryan made his first start here with the league back at the start of the season, back in round number 1. So two drivers that are fairly new to the league here duking it out, currently trying to secure that final spot in the top 10. A little bit further up the field, Derek Streets is getting pressure from behind from that 78. That is going to be the 78 of Derek Murphy just behind him, and Nico Morelli involved in this battle as well. This is the battle for 6 between these three drivers. All three drivers running black and red liveries here, and shockingly enough, none of these three drivers are teammates. They just all happen to have some similar taste in fashion out here on the speedway. Morelli going way wide on corner entry there in that 14. Was going to cost him a bit, but as the 78 and the 15 duke it out, that's going to slow both of them down and allow Morelli to get back into this battle. And just like that, now Morelli is getting around the outside of Streets here. And Streets going to go from 6th to 8th just like that, but he's going to maybe give a little bit of a tap to Morelli there. Not quite sure on that one if he actually made contact or not, but with how things tend to shake out here at the Langley Speedway, I would not be surprised if we do end up seeing a little bit of bumper usage for some of these late model drivers. Already 15 laps in the books though. Clicking off these laps incredibly quickly here this evening. Look at the lap times. Currently, best lap time on the speedway, of course, was set by our race leader. That is Travis Sukup up at the front here in that 45 Dropping Bombs Racing entry with a 15.65. So we are darn near clicking off 4 laps a minute here at this 0.39 mile speedway. And it's not entirely surprising to see Travis Sukup setting the fastest lap time so far tonight. So far this season, while Sukup only has 1 win to his name, which he took home back at the Concord Speedway back for round number 3, he has set the fastest lap time of the race for every single race we have been to, except for, I believe, actually the race he won, in which Tyler McRae took it home by just a couple of thousandths of a second. And of course, Tyler McRae just behind him. McRae is our championship leader coming into tonight's event in that number 99 Dropping Bombs Racing entry. He has shown some incredible speed in these late models, which is pretty surprising because he has been one of the drivers that I feel has been a little less approving of this brand new late model stock and the changes it has compared to the old Chevrolet Monte Carlo SS that this late model stock replaced here on the iRacing.com platform. But regardless of that, he has 3 wins to his name, could be looking to make it number 4. But only 22 laps in the books. We still have another 4/5 of this race to get through here tonight. And once again, battle heating up back in the back. Once again, Schreckengost closing the distance on one of these drivers. They managed to get around Christopher Bryan. Now trying to close the gap on that number 74 of Jeremy Morrow up in 9th. Morrow comes into tonight's event back at the very back of the championship standings. Has only been able to attend 1 or 2 races so far this season, so right now looking to try and pick up really any positions he can get here tonight to try and bump himself up there in the standings. But of course, drop weeks will be kicking in here shortly. We do have 4 drop weeks here in the ASRC Oval Series out of the 12 total races. The aim with that, of course, is to try and allow anyone who wants to compete for the championship for free to be able to. 4 drop weeks to go with 4 DLC tracks that are on the schedule. Otherwise, the remaining 8 races we try to always have to be free tracks here on the iRacing.com platform, and Langley Speedway here actually is one of them, so not quite that surprising that this is one of the tracks that we have seen tie the record for the most drivers in a race this season. Not quite a tie for the most drivers we've ever had in a single race here in the ASRC Oval Series. That record was set all the way back in season number 2 at the Martinsville Speedway in the street stock, where we had 21 drivers register for the event. And I'll tell you what, race fans, that was long before my broadcasting days. That was back when I was a driver here in this series, and what a race that was. But actually, looking back through the record books here, I did mention a little bit earlier, this is a track that ASRC's Oval Series has only gone to 3 times. Back in season number 1, where it all began, Garrett Hess took home the win in what I believe was his inaugural start with the series. Then a little bit of a hiatus, didn't see this track again until season number 4, in which our current championship leader and the driver in second position right now, Tyler McRae, took home the win back in the street stock. And then we saw this track again back in season number 7 in the old late model, where Coy Hasselu took home the win, and Jeremy Morrow having a bit of trouble. Morrow went a little bit higher through that corner than he needed to be, and he had to put out the parachute there in that 74 machine, going to go all the way back to the back of the field just in that one corner, just like that. And just behind him, there's that 45 of Travis Sukup, who is already looking to potentially start making some lapped cars here this evening. 35 laps in the books here. Still a decent way left to go, but it just goes to show how quickly these drivers are clicking off laps here tonight. And just like that, Sukup is going to get around that 74 of Jeremy Morrow. Just like that, Morrow is going to be scored a lap down here tonight. And already Sukup starting to put his sights on that 00 Christopher Bryan, which just goes to show how little a difference in lap time can matter here. As Streckengost is going to get around Morelli, so Morelli down to 9th, Streckengost up to 8th. That 77 driver started all the way back in 10th position, and he's been making some ground here tonight in his inaugural start here this evening. But all 3 of these drivers are going to have to start worrying about our race leader Travis Sukup sooner rather than later. Further up the field, though, the driver currently sitting back in the 5th position, that is the 93 of Jason Gardner. Got his first podium of season number 10 last week at the Five Flag Speedway, took home a 2nd place finish. Currently being the last driver inside of the top 5 coming into tonight's event. Scored 7th back in the championship standings, and the driver just in front of him, that 38 of Brandon Feeney, is the driver that is also just in front of him in the championship standings in that 38 Feeney call entry. So stories both in the short term out here on the Langley Speedway playing into the longer story of this season. Feeney, not his first season here with the league, but this is his first season where he has been competing full time. We've seen him in select races all the way from back in season number 8. But he's attended every season, or every race so far this season, currently running back in the 6th position in the championship standings. And the driver that is in the top 5, just 7 points ahead of Mr. Brandon Feeney. That is the driver that is running back in the 8th position, who just got passed by Streckengoss. So Streckengoss now up 7th. And soon he's going to be setting his sights on the top 5, but Garrett Streets, the driver running 5th in the championship standings right now. Brandon Feeney just behind him, Nico Morelli just in front of him in the championship. And fittingly enough, oh, trouble. Oh, well, there's going to be caution number 1 on the speedway just like that. Race fans, I did not predict that one was going to happen. I know I said trouble and panned the camera before the wreck happened. I swear it's not staged. I just saw a slight irregularity on our timing and scoring tower. Go back to investigate, and sure enough, that's how the cookie crumbles, apparently. That's going to be Christopher Bryan around to bring out caution number 1. Let's take a look back here, see what all went down between these two drivers. That is the 14 of Nico Morelli. And that's the 45 of Travis Sukup that's just lapping both of them like that. Nico Morelli down on the low light of Bryan, and just a little bit of a nudge down to the left rear to bring out the first caution. He locks it up. He tries to get that 14 stopped before the 00 goes around, but just not quite able to make it happen. Let's see another look back at that going down into turn number 2. Just the tiniest little bit of a nudge, enough to upset that late model. Might have to get a top-down view of that to see how it really all unfolded. So let's take a look down at the blimp camera here on Christopher Bryan, going down into turns 1 and 2. Goes up high to let the race leader by just a little bit. And then just not a whole lot of room left between those two late model drivers to make anything happen there. So that's going to be first caution out on the speedway here tonight. And sure enough, everyone is going to make the call to come down pit lane here under this yellow. Looking like a little bit of different strategies between these drivers, though. It looks to me like everyone took at least 2 tires here, except Brandon Feeney. Brandon Feeney only spent 6 seconds down on pit lane. So a very short stop for the driver that Feeney, call number 38, and that's going to move him up inside the top 3 here tonight. And I'll let you in on a little secret here, race fans. Brandon and I compete in a Thursday night league that just so happened to run 100 laps at the Langley Speedway in the late model stock about 4 days ago. So I'm wondering here if maybe Feeney has picked up a little bit of insight from running that race to see how to apply it here to tonight's race, because virtually identical track conditions, same car, same laps, maybe a slight difference in fuel, but otherwise he's running just a little bit of a rerun from what he did back on last Thursday. That said, lights came back on the iRacing.com pace car, so Race Control wasn't happy about something there, and they extended the caution by a lap, but lights are off on the pace truck now, so we will be going green flag racing once again next time by. Laps under yellow do not count here in the ASRC Oval Series, so we will be on lap 47 when we go green flag racing here. And pace truck is going to pull down to the safety of pit lane, so we are going green flag racing just like that. Green flag up in the air, and again, amazing run off the start for that 45 of Travis Sukup. But Tyler McRae, he's not going to let his teammate have an easy time here tonight. And Sukup a little bit loose off the corner there. I do believe our two race leaders here are on newer tires. At least right sides, if not... Yeah, at least right sides. I don't think they could have done 4 tires in the amount of time that they were down on pit lane. And actually, looking at the time, though, it does look like some of the other drivers may potentially have done 4 tires. Let's just pull up our strategy box here to look at how much time these drivers spent down on pit lane last time by. And there's a pretty good amount of variance here this evening. Sukup and McRae, teammates, fittingly using fairly similar times. Is Garrett Streets off the speedway? Sure enough, he is. Caution flag not going to come out, but Garrett Streets was off the speedway there for just a second in that number 15 SM Racing entry. Let's take a quick look back there and see what happened to that driver. I know it looks like a little bit of a nudge from Brian Sabelski. He's going to end up in the grass. He keeps it rolling, though, so the caution's not going to come out because he kept that late model rolling and didn't block the track at all. But just like that, Street's going to be put at the end of the lead lap, and now he has a lot of ground he needs to make up to get back up into this thing. It looks like he had a little bit of a nudge with that McConey setup shop driver. That's the 85 of Brian Sadelsky, 4-time champion here in the ASRC Oval Series. So far has not managed to take home a win this season, though he has gotten a podium back at the North Wilkesboro Speedway, and almost all of his finishes, actually all of his finishes so far this season have been top 5s, just not quite what he's needed to get up inside of those podium spots. That said, he is still being scored in the 3rd position in the championship standings here tonight, so the only drivers that he is behind in the championship is Travis Sukup and Tyler McRae, your 2 race leaders. A little bit further behind, Schreckengost, the rookie driver, is putting the pressure down on another driver. He is catching up to that 93 of Jason Gardner. And looking at the lap times last time by, Schreckengost was slightly faster than Gardner. So Schreckengost has a lot of speed in that number 77, maybe not quite the qualifying effort he was going for coming into tonight's event, but he has shown some pretty solid pace out here under green flag conditions. Just a question of how it is going to play out for him in these remaining 40 laps. Further back in the field, though, Nico Morelli, Christopher Bryan duking it out. These 2 drivers are not on the lead lap, but they are battling for position with each other. Both of them stuck a lap down from getting lapped before that caution. And Streets is going to pull it up high. Or no, Morelli is going to pull it up high to let Streets on by, since Streets is still on the lead lap. But Morelli and that 0-0 of Christopher Bryan are battling it out on the speedway for position here this evening. Just got to get around Garrett Streets, or let Garrett Streets get by them one way or another. And further up in the field, a driver we haven't been able to talk about all that much so far this season. That's the Angry Larry number 78. That is Mr. Derek Murphy, getting pressure from behind from Brian Sabelski. And both of them are actually pretty darn close to Brandon Feeney here as well. Feeney still holding on to the 3rd position, but these 2 drivers will be catching up to him sooner rather than later. Especially if Feeney, if we are correct on what the pit strategy call was for these drivers, and Feeney didn't take tires, he's going to start to feel that in the longer run of this race, even if he does have another 100-lap race here of practice under his belt. Conserving tires on these late models at such a flat track like this is just incredibly difficult to do. Further back in the field, the battle is heating back up. 4 cars battling it out here. That 15 that's stuck in the middle of all this, not on the lead lap, but these other 3 are all drivers that are currently stuck a lap down. And Nico Morelli is going to get around that 74 of Jeremy Morrow. And Morelli sending it real deep, almost making contact with the 15 of Garrett Streets a little bit. Again, Streets is on the lead lap, so he is not battling for position with any of these other drivers. He's just kind of stuck in a lap car sandwich here. But everyone else in this frame, they are all battling for position, battling for 9th, 10th, and 11th respectively. And Morelli and Morrow really duking it out here. There has been a lot of nudging between these 2 drivers. Lot of nudging, lots of having to check up for each other. And it looks like now they've gotten themselves mostly sorted out here, but with only 30 laps left in the books, we will have to see, will that remain to be the same story in about 25 laps from now. And Garrett Streets, for just a second there, it looked like Streets was thinking about putting the bumper to that 0-0 Christopher Bryan. Of course, Streets is still on the lead lap, so he is trying to get up past him so we can try and start thinking about catching up to the rest of the field, but that's not going to be easy work. Further up in the field, though, this whole battle is still going on as well. Jason Gardner, Brady Schreckengost, and Derek Murphy all battling it out up here inside of the top 5. Brandon Feedy has managed to build up a little bit of a gap from these late model drivers, so Feeney has a little bit of breathing room, and I don't think it's fair to say he has a whole lot of it, because only about half of a second between him and these 3 cars, all in their own little respective freight train here. And as we cross the line, going to be putting us at 25 laps left to go next time by. Not a whole lot of time left to negotiate with one another here. You need to start making the passes soon, and you need to do them real dang quickly. And just like that, Derek Murphy going to have a little bit of a slip up in turns 3 and 4, and he's going to get stuck up high as Gardner and Schreckengost go by him. So now Murphy is going to have to go on the attack here, still inside the top 5, which is a pretty decent place to be. Actually, no, he's been moved outside of the top 5 here, so maybe a little bit of pushing that he needs to do here if he wants to get caught back up here. And Brandon Feeney, that breathing room he once had is now very far gone here as Brian Sabelski closes in, trying to get another podium to his name, trying to get any amount of points that he can. He is lagging behind Sukup and McRae in the championship standings. He's holding on to that 3rd position pretty comfortably, but he is falling behind the 2 of them just a bit. And sure enough, Sabelski now going to put himself inside the top 3 with 21 laps left to go. Feeney just on those older tires. I don't think there's a whole lot he can do here besides try to run the best laps he can and hope that Gardner and Schreckengost and Murphy don't all catch up to him here soon too. And trouble. 2 drivers around on the speedway, and the caution flag is going to come out. And race fans, would you believe me if I told you it was between Morelli and Morrow, the 2 drivers that we have seen giving each other a little bit of bumping and banging all for the past 20 laps. It looks like something might have finally come to a head here. So that is going to freeze the race with 18 laps left to go. I'd imagine that Mr. Brandon Feeney is going to be a very happy driver, but for the time being, let's take a look back here and see what all brought out this 2nd caution on the speedway. Of course, looking down at that 14 of Nico Morelli, that 99 Tyler McRae trying to get around both of them lap traffic here. And it looks like Morrow had to check up a little bit not to get into the back of the race leader. And that checkup put him right into the nose of Nico Morelli. Let's take another look back here, get another view of this incident. Tyler McRae goes down low around that 74. 74 tries to fill the gap, has to just get on the brakes just a bit. And Morelli just not enough time to really react there. It's right on board with the number 79 here, going through that corner. Right on board with the driver of the Justin Wilson Memorial number 14. And down to turns 3 and 4 and just close the gap to that 74 a whole lot faster than he expected to. So that is going to bring out caution flag number 2 on the speedway. Nico Morelli down on pit lane. Might have had to get a little bit of a damage fix up there. But Travis Sukup is going to be making his way down to pit lane in that 45. Travis Sukup has been our race leader up until this point. So Sukup going to be coming down. I thought he took tires earlier in the race, so I'm going to be surprised if he has tires to put on that number 45. And sure enough, I don't know if putting on left side tires is necessarily the strategy here, but it is the strategy that number 45 machine is going to be trying. You know what? More power to him. I applaud him for attempting something I don't think I've ever seen before here commentating the ASRC Oval Series. You know what? Maybe left side tires are the play. What do I know? I'm just the guy up here in the broadcast booth. But Tyler McRae, Brian Sabelski going to be your front row for this restart. Brandon Feeney, Garrett Streets, Travis Sukup all came down to pit lane under this yellow. So these 3 drivers going to be on newer tires than the rest of the field, albeit Sukup again is on new left side tires and not new right side tires, so I don't know how that's going to work out for him in the 45 machine, but I'm really curious to see what comes of it at this point. But lights are out on the iRacing.com pace car, so we are going to be trying this one again. 18 laps going to be the distance for this restart. Just a bit of a shootout for these late model drivers. So now the question remains, who took tires on that initial caution has something left to work with here tonight? Green flag up in the air, and Tyler McRae off to an amazing start. Ryan Zabelski, Jason Gardner, 2nd and 3rd. They're all in the clear here. But the rest of the field, 2 by 2, going through turns 1 and 2, and 2 by 2 going through 3 and 4. And everyone tries to dive it on down to the low line, try and make something work here. There's Streets, Brandon Feeney battling it out here, and Feeney's going to go down low. Feeney, of course, is on newer tires than almost the entire rest of the field right now in that 38 Feeney call entry, so he might just be able to make something work here. He just has to get around these other drivers in these remaining 16 laps. Travis Sukup a little bit further behind, led most of the laps of this race, decided to come down pit lane and take left side tires as he was out of right sides. And looking at the lap times, he's not setting the times that he was setting on those older tires, so I think left side tires has upset the balance of his car just a little bit. That said, he's trying to get around that 15 of Garrett Streets. He is still committed to try and pick up some spots on those left side tires. It's just a question of will it work out for him. He gets around Streets, and just in front of them, Feeney and Schreckengost are battling it out. Feeney down on low line, Schreckengost up high. Feeney now the furthest driver up the field that is on new tires. And he is finding himself inside the top 5 with 12 laps left to go. And last time by, Feeney actually set the fastest time on the speedway in that 38 machine. He's going to peek down low, try and get around Derek Murphy now. And he's going to do so without too much to worry about. So that's Feeney in 4th now. 11 laps left to go. Trekkengoss going to go down low. He's going to get around Murphy as well, while Murphy's stuck up on the higher line. And there's Sukup as well. Sukup wants a part of this as well, but not quite close enough to catch up. Not quite close enough to make the move, but Murphy's stuck up to the high side yet again. Sukup's going to get around him. Garrett Street's going to go down low. He's going to try and make the pass on that 78 as well. Side by side through turns number 3 and 4. And that's going to bump Derek Murphy back down to 8th as the last driver on the lead lap. Looks like the tires on that 78 just not quite working the way he needs them to in these final couple of laps here. Now the closest battle on the speedway, the battle between Sukup and Streets. Both drivers scraping the outside wall a little bit, coming down the backstretch there. Both of them trying to catch up to Schreckengost for that top 5 position, but they've got a bit of ground they need to make up. And Streets and Sukup, if they battle it out here in these remaining 5 laps, that's just going to slow both of them down, and I don't think that's going to do any of them really any favors. But sure enough, Garrett Street's going to go down low. He is going to pull around that number 45. Mind you, Sukup is the driver who has been leading the race up until he made that pit stop. And speaking of drivers trying to lead the race, Jason Gardner, a little bit of a wiggle off of turn number 2, and now Brandon Feeney is up inside the top 3, started back in 7th after that yellow. So he's made up 4 positions in the matter of about 12 laps, and now he's putting the pressure down on Brian Sabelski, and he's going to do it without really any resistance. Is Brandon Feeney going to be able to dethrone Tyler McRae? 3 laps left to go. 1.3 seconds back from the race leader. He's got his work cut out for him. 2 to go. Left on the speedway. Feeney is closing the gap, but I don't think it's going to be enough to catch it up. And just behind them, Gardner and Sabelski are closing the gap between each other. White flag up in the air one more time around the speedway for these late model stock drivers. Jason Gardner, Brian Sabelski battling it out for the final podium position. Checkered flag up in the air. Gardner sends it in deep. Will he be able to make it stick, though? Not quite. What a finish to this event here tonight, race fans. Tyler McRae going to be making it win number 4 here this evening. Brandon Feeney finishing P number 2. Brian Sabelski, Jason Gardner, Brady Schreckengost. Your top 5 here this evening. I'll tell you what, race fans, I don't know if anyone had that on their bingo cards here tonight. Question is, will we be getting a burnout from Tyler McRae? He might be trying to save that late model for next week. Not quite sure. We'll give him just a second to think about it a little bit more. And it's looking like the answer is probably maybe not. So we will be back in just a second, race fans. Don't go anywhere. Going to get some interviews with your top 3 finishers here this evening. Alrighty, race fans, welcome back to the Langley Speedway. Welcome back to season number 10 of the Attrition Sim Race Canvas Oval Series presented by SM Racing. And welcome back, Mr. Tyler McRae. For the fourth time this season, you are up here in my broadcast booth. You got another win to your name. You won at this track back in season number 4. How are you feeling to get it done again here tonight?
Well, I had a fun night with the guys. I mean, there was a few beating and banging, little spins, some close racing, so that was fun. But I didn't earn this one. Poor Mike made a mistake under caution on the cone, so it's not as excited as earning it. But I do appreciate the win though, still, because they are hard to get sometimes. And it's kind of cool to see some other names up here. I know Brandon had a pretty good little pitch strategy, and it almost worked out.
Yeah, it looks like everyone actually had some pretty varied pit strategies out here on the field here tonight, but you managed to make it work. Do you think that if Mike didn't have that little bit of an oopsie, would you still be up here in victory lane here this evening?
No, I was trying a few things. I was tight. Right when I wanted to give it the most throttle is where I was tight. I mean, I don't know if you saw it. I hit the wall probably like 6 times behind him. So that's all I had. He had me playing covered. So
Well, definitely still a heck of a race by everyone. Next week, kind of throwing everything you had to do here tonight out the window. We're heading on over to Southern National, so how you feel heading on over to a speedway with a whole lot of banking?
yeah, it should be a good time. I mean, I'm telling you, I thought it was some good racing. I saw it in front of me. I saw it behind me. Um, I was kind of counting my chickens, and I saw Brandon running up, so I put it on because he rolled by those third and second place pretty quick. Um, so I don't know, it'd be fun. I'm sure it'd be fun racing close again. I think our times in practice weren't that far off. Um, so I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Good deal. Well, as always, the microphone's all yours, Mr. McRae. Who you want to thank for getting that number 99 machine up here?
Yeah, ASRC for putting this racing on every week. Fun race, clean racing. The competitors, we work together. Sometimes we give each other room. Sometimes the other person needs to give room. It's pretty cool. Um, Definitely, your broadcast. It's always fun to see what happens. SM products, products or racing. Always mess them up.
Both.
All right, products and racing. Good for them. I want to appreciate them and dropping bombs. And poor Mike. I'll try to coach him up a little better for next time. I hope you have a good night.
Good deal. Thank you for coming out and congrats on another win.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Finishing back in position number 2, Brandon. I don't think I've had you up here since you've joined this league, but finally, you made it happen. You showed up just as a joke a couple of seasons ago, and now here you are getting podium finishes. What the heck is going on, buddy?
Oh, I'm just carrying over other league success and keeping the roll going. And I just missed you, buddy. I miss talking to you when you're not down there racing with us.
Fair enough. Well, I appreciate you putting the effort in just because you want to talk to me and nothing else. But, heck of a run you had here tonight. You were looking like you had the speed to potentially take it home here this evening. What do you think might have had to have gone different for you to be in the winner's circle here tonight?
That last restart on the outside, I got caught behind a car that wasn't rolling very well, and unfortunately, that killed the whole progress. And I lost 2 or 3 spots there that I had to gain back, and that's about the second I lost the race by.
Yeah, it was pretty dang close, and I don't know. I don't think anyone had how this race was going to play out on their bingo cards here this evening. But did you know when you stayed out under that first yellow? Were you confident that there was going to be another caution that would make this strategy work for you, or are you just kind of making it up on the fly?
I didn't stay out on that first caution. I went down and took my fuel, but saved my tires because of I knew from Thursday that I could actually save enough tire to run 100 laps. So I figured I'd save it. Worst comes to worst, I have fresh tires if there was a late race or caution. If not, I finished probably top five.
Well, you definitely made it work here this evening. Next week, though, throwing all your experience here tonight out the window and heading on over to Southern National. How you feeling going to another one of the free tracks here on the iRacing platform?
I'll probably be around backwards more than once at least next week. I don't like that track.
Fair enough. I like the enthusiasm. I'm excited to see you out there next week. But before I let you go and get yourself ready for that, who you want to thank for getting you up here in the broadcast booth this evening?
Well, I got to thank you, Aiden, for the invite and doing the broadcast. I got to thank Liquid Molly and Josh Buckley for doing the paint scheme, and got to thank Liquid Molly and all that stuff and Auto Tire and Safeties that helped me in the real car. And I got to thank the ASRC for hosting the league, and hopefully we get to talk to you more.
Good deal. Well, thank you for coming out, and congratulations on getting the podium here tonight.
Thanks, buddy.
And finishing back in position number 3, I feel like we were just talking about how we gave him an interview a few weeks ago, and he's trying to push to get another one here tonight. Brian, you got another podium to your name. How'd you make it happen here tonight? Uh-oh.
Oh, hi.
Oh,
Sorry.
hi,
Pressed the
Brian.
wrong button.
Hello.
Wrong button. Sorry. I'm pushing my other push to talk. Just kind of hung in there. Not really anything super special about tonight. A little bummed about that first caution because I was chasing down Tyler again on that run, and I'd kind of hoped maybe I'd have a shot to get to his bumper by the time pit stops had started. But yeah, probably could have been second if not for the other caution, second or third, which is where I ended up finishing anyway. So I guess it all washes out because Travis got the penalty, but Brandon got his the tires and was able to capitalize off that, which is totally okay. It just be life sometimes. Yeah. Other than that, just kind of hanging out, hoping maybe next week will be a good run, and we'll see how it all shakes out. Yeah.
Well,
I don't really have a whole lot to say.
Yeah, that's fair. If nothing else, you have solidified your position in third in the championship standings a little bit. You've widened that gap between Nico Morelli and Garrett Streets just a little bit. So, if nothing else, you got that going for you heading into Southern National next week. But
Yep.
Gonna be heading into the halfway point of the season, so who knows how things will end up playing out.
Yeah, you never know. A lot of things can go one way or another. I think we're still probably looking for we'll probably still end up looking for a win at some point here. It's just been like the last week or two, it's just been kind of rough overall. Just things haven't really been going great racing wise, but hopefully we'll be able to kind of shake things up here and maybe move away from some of these tracks in general. We've had Daytona, Martinsville, Talladega tonight. Just a lot of tracks that haven't really been things I would say are like, oh yeah, that's a great track. I'm going to do really well there unless I get really lucky. I've been on the back end of the unlucky stick more often than not. So we'll see. Got a lot of work to do, but we'll get to it.
Well, I will not keep you for too much longer for getting ready for your race at Southern National next week. But as always, the microphone's all yours, Mr. Sabelski. Who you want to thank for getting you up here tonight?
Just as always, ASRC for putting this on. Fine folks at McConey Setup Shop. Great as always. Everyone hanging out in Twitch chat. Hi, everybody. Not a whole lot else. I really want to say, make sure if you're gonna adopt an animal, adopt a shelter animal. That's all I gotta say.
Amen.
Yep.
Well, congratulations on the podium here tonight, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Yep. See you next week.
You heard it here first, race fans. Your top 3 finishers here tonight: Tyler McRae, Brandon Feeney, Brian Sabelski. And of course, before we sign out, going to take a quick look down at the rest of our race results. These are technically unofficial, but you might as well consider them official. Like I said, I don't think we've penalized anyone in ASRC in over a year now, so might as well just consider these official. McRae, Feeney, Savelski are top 3. Jason Gardner rounding out position number 4. And that rookie driver in his debut race here with the league, Brady Schreckengost, bringing it home position number 5 here tonight. 6th place going to go back to that 15 of Garrett Streets, with 7th going to be the 78 of Derek Murphy. 8th to the 45 of Travis Sukup. Christopher Bryan in the 00 back in number 9. And the 14 of Nico Morelli rounding out the top 10. And finally, round out the field here tonight. That's going to be the 74 of Mr. Jeremy Morrow, who successfully caused this race to tie for the most drivers we've ever had in a race so far this season. So, I don't know about y'all race fans, but that gets me very excited for heading on over to the Southern National Motorsports Park next week. Same day, same time, Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. But of course, that's about all we got for y'all here from the Langley Speedway. A big thank you to everyone who tuned into tonight's event, both from me up here in the broadcast booth, our friends over at SM Racing Products who put on these great shows, and from everyone competing here in the Attrition Sim Race Campus Oval Series. Thank y'all for coming out, and we look forward to seeing y'all next week. Have a good evening, race fans.